best experience was one, working with all the professionals in the section. It was an amazing opportunity to see people performing at a level that you usually don't get to see in everyday practice. Dealing with issues that address the business community and the business law attorneys throughout the state of Florida. It was really quite impressive to see that happen. In addition to that, it was fantastic to go on the spring retreat and see all the different folks in a more relaxed environment. And since I got to plan the trip, I got to know exactly what was going to go on ahead of time. And so that was just a wonderful experience.
But my executive council retreat in Cartagena was really my highlight. I loved getting everybody together, and I think Cartagena is magical in its own way, and it was a really fun time and great bonding experience for us. So that was my highlight.
As chair, we had our spring executive council retreat in London, and although it was only the second time the group had ventured outside the United States or the Caribbean for a retreat, I thought it was particularly significant because of the connection that London and Great Britain in particular has to the practice of law and to business law itself. We took a tour that was organized by one of our other former section chairs, the now deceased Judge Bill Van Nortwick, who had a friend in the Inn of Court program at the Lincoln Inn in London, and he arranged for the most wonderful tour that you can imagine of our group, a one-to-one tour by this director of the Lincoln Inn of the Inn, which, by the way, trains the barristers in the British Isles on how to litigate cases. So that was wonderful.
Well, best and worst was my husband had Alzheimer's disease, and while I was chair, he passed away. But the members of the section had gotten to know him at retreats and meetings over the years, and they were very, very supportive while I was chair. So that was the best experience, knowing what good friends and I had. And of course, the worst was losing my husband.
Well, the opportunity to serve as a business law section, honestly, was one of the highlights, has been one of the highlights of my career. It's really an honor to serve in that role. I have the highest respect for the people who serve in the business law section, especially on the executive council. They're really a collection of the finest business lawyers in the state of Florida. So really throughout all the time that I served with the business law section, I had the opportunity to work with fine lawyers like Stu Ames and Greg Gadley, Mike Williamson, John Olson, John Emanuel, a whole series of people who were also chairs. So I really enjoyed the whole experience.
The highlight as business law section chair, and probably the highlight for every chair of the section, is the spring retreat that we organized. It's a privilege of the chair to organize that retreat, to pick a location, to get away from it all, and to really increase the bonds, enhance the bonds, create new bonds with people, to be far away from Florida. My retreat happened to be in Israel. We spent 10 days in Israel and had an opportunity to see that country really like no one had ever seen it before. Many people had never been there before. It was a very eye-opening experience, very enlightening. We had an opportunity to do some governmental things, to meet with lawyers, to meet with members of the Knesset, to meet at the Israel Supreme Court, and then to see the country. And it was really an incredible opportunity for me, and I think for everyone else who attended the trip.
Well, I think just getting through the whole year and getting it organized and getting people involved, getting the committee's structure set up, getting our input in on the legislation, both on the corporate side and on the UCC side, getting people to know that we were here and that we had something to say and to turn to us for input in this area. And I think it succeeded, and those who followed me were able to continue on doing that. And of course, the section has been extremely successful. throughout these 50 years.
The best experience and highlights of my year as chair of the business law section are, first, the resumption of the section's annual retreat. The retreats started in the mid-1980s. There were 2, and then they were abated for a variety of reasons until my year as chair, when they started again. The first 2 years that we resumed the section retreat in the mid-90s, in each year, the theme was the business of law, and our program centered around negotiation training sponsored by the Harvard Negotiation Project. And it was extraordinary.
Well, I have to say that the View from the Bench seminar was just an incredible experience to be able to be the chair of that event for going back, gosh, since 1985, and it's been the best attended Florida Bar CLE program in history. And it also allowed me to get to know lawyers around the state, come to that seminar, the judges in Miami and Jacksonville and Tampa. It was a great experience, and that's just something that you could only have had through the business law section.